the Antoine called in, and I was like, I noticed it, and I'm like, oh dang, someone's looking sharp.
Yep, thank you, sir. Yeah, you know what? Ever since so I've been shaving my head like on a one. Well, Sam's been shaving my head on a one lately, and you know what? Well, funny story is we're going to the pantry, and then all of a sudden like we saw this like big old jar of organic coconut oil that's expired, and I was like, well, let's see if there's a use for this, and then I didn't even realize it. Then I started googling stuff, and then going on YouTube, and people are saying like coconut oil is like a natural like beard oil. It helps like growth. It helps with like moisture, moisturizing the hairs, making them soft, and also just making the hair healthier, right? So I was like, you know what? Let me put it in a little cup, a gooba gabba cup, and then let me put it in the bathroom. And then every time like I take a shower, wash my face, I'll brush it in, and then I'll grow it out. I was like, my brother also, the one that's close to you right now, that's in Pennsylvania. He's been growing his facial hair out for like 4 months. So also he kind of motivated me to try it out. And also too, like I said, I've never really grown everything out before. I've grown like my mustache out, which I think if you guys remember from the podcast, well, that we were definitely doing the podcast, but like I had like a thick old mustache when I was in Arizona. So excited to see where it's at and see what happens. I don't know. Like I said, this is only like this will be week 2 on Sunday. So we'll see. And I'm excited for the new look. Facial hair always kind of bothered me because I would always have like itchy, and also I never really had a brush, so I got like one of those like boar hair brushes or whatever that has like boar bristles or whatever they're called. So we'll try it out. Maybe I'll give it like a month and see where I'm at, and then we'll kind of go from there. I kind of want to look get a different look going on because, like I said, not gaining any hair anywhere else on my head. So you know, so I gotta have hair somewhere else, right?
You get the Gainz in the gym, you get the Gainz in the facial hair department.
Yeah, man. Speaking of gains, man, there's been a lot of gains lately. I sent that video over to you today. That was
That
just
was
on a
sick.
whim. That was just on a whim.
It was
Um,
crazy. Is that like
um,
an all-time PR for you?
I don't know honestly. I'll have to look. Well, I mean, well, most of my training logs are probably recorded, so I probably could look this up fairly easily on my iPhone. Um, but see, the thing is, I don't know if it's far back enough to when I used to record on my notebooks. So I don't know where those notebooks are right now because most of my stuff is like in a basement corner. uh, so
Yep.
um, I'd have to check, but I did hit 120s for 3 reps, and probably honestly, if I did hit 120s before, I might have not have been touching my chest. So I think before too during those times is I think I kind of probably went just shy of my chest, which is like kind of weird. But I don't know, maybe it's because my long monkey arms that I always thought like hey, I got bigger range of motion, yada yada yada, which we've gone over plenty of times and stuff, and what the benefit and the negative side of things, and all this stuff with range of motion and whatnot. And then yeah, and then before I sum up about like recent like lifts and stuff is because I kind of want to I'm trying to get all my stuff out because I know you have a lot of notes, and I actually wrote kind of questions for your notes too.
Sweet.
So I want to get into it. So that's why I'm trying to just get like full at it. But I hit what was that, 435, right? 435 on deadlifts the other day.
Yeah, trap bar deadlifts. That was
No,
insane.
no, not trap bar, sumo.
Oh, sumo. Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So I don't know if you saw it. I posted in the story, and I didn't send it to you, so my bad on that. But for 4th of July, I lifted because we were off work, and then I've been trying instead of conventional and trap bar because I switched it up for both sides. What I've been doing is sumo and trap bar, and honestly, I don't mind sumo that much anymore. And I think it's not really an awkward. I don't know if it's because of like all the mobility and like yoga stuff and all this stuff. Maybe it just feels better. Also, too, I went to a gym that actually had a deadlift platform for the first time in a while. I've been like deadlifting off like pretty much concrete, like maybe like a half an inch of padding, maybe even less, and then like the concrete floors underneath. So I think that has to be like another reason why I went up that heavy. But that's probably the heaviest beltless deadlift I've done in a while. I know I did a farmer carry or farmer walks with 425. Um, in my opinion, that's probably still stronger than doing just a single of a 435 deadlift right now. But that's the heaviest I've gone beltless. So yeah. Other than that, I did. Sorry, Roman. Like I said, I'm doing rapid fire. I got my Mark Bell shirt on too today. Shout out to Mark Bell if you're listening. Probably not.
What's up, Smelly?
But another thing is, definitely would like to maybe do an episode on this or talk more about it. But I finished that Why We Sleep book by Dr. Matthew Walker. Roman, if I don't think you've read it, but man, I know what we've been doing is going to we have a local library card, and honestly, we've been renting like the ebooks and also the physical copies, and like they had that one and I rented it from there. I didn't even buy it. So I would probably strongly suggest you to do that whenever you can and read that book. Also, that's on hold. I have Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia. That book is on hold right now for me as well for the library. So can't wait to like read that and share more thoughts and ideas on the podcast. Because I actually just started getting into the Drive, the podcast. That's Peter Attia's podcast name. Actually, Dr. Saunders is the one who turned me on to listening to more Peter Attia. I know I listened to him on the Joe Rogan podcast, but I didn't even realize he had his own. And I'm going like he's got like 200 episodes, which is like awesome because now I have a lot of content to like go over and like listen. And then I think, oh. Last thing, Roman. Sorry, before you get into the topic of discussion today, we're 7 minutes in, guys. We're doing somewhat fine. Don't worry. We're not going. I'm not going 10 minutes. Last thing is Instagram just released this app called Threads. I don't know if you saw it, Roman. It just came out today, literally today. So Gainz Podcast is on Threads right now. So you have to download another app, but it's owned by, I'm thinking Facebook owns all of this because actually Meta owns Instagram and Threads. So pretty much it ties your Instagram account, and honestly, it's pretty much a copy of Twitter. I know Zuckerberg and Elon Musk are going at it, and they want to get into the octagon. I don't know if you've heard about that, Roman, but
yeah, is that serious?
Somewhat, because I know Zuckerberg he's been doing jiu-jitsu for a while, which is actually pretty cool. He talked about it on the Joe Rogan podcast. But if you look at Threads, it's pretty much like, in my opinion, a mock of Twitter. And we did have to start an account on Threads, which I linked it to the Instagram. So if you guys have Threads, or if you're downloading it, or you don't know about it and you want to download it to get more content, honestly, I've already posted like 3 times on it because the idea of Twitter is like, your thoughts, your opinions, and also just getting more content out to the audience. So if you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. I posted Roman's Preacher Curls on Threads actually today too as well. So check it out. And I think I'm done. I actually see. Oh, can you even see it? No, you can't even see it. Wow, the green, the little I actually been using the iPad a lot more for the ebook, so I actually wrote up some notes about today too on it too. So I was trying to show you it, Roman. Sorry, I couldn't show you it. But go ahead, buddy. What do we talk about today? And let's go ahead and dive into it. I know you got a lot of notes on this.
Sweet, yes. Episode number 165, neck training. The inspiration for this came.
Is Jeff Nippard?
I actually watched like
his OG videos.
It's like from like 3, 4, and 6 years ago. I watched them this morning. But
those are some good ones.
My back was like a little sore the past like 2 weeks, and it wasn't like I was attributing it marginally to lifting or working out. So I wasn't really sure why. So when I was starting workouts for warming up, I'd warm up my neck first, and it created like a short-term local analgesic effect, like a little like dampening of like the soreness, pain, whatever, in my mid back. So I was thinking like, a lot of people probably go through the same sort of thing where they wake up, their back sore, their neck sore, this or that, and they're like, yeah, okay, maybe I worked out, maybe I was like, I performed some sort of physical activity or whatnot, but maybe I didn't, and like, what's the cause of this? Or maybe you don't care about the cause, you're just like, I want to make it better. How to make it better? So that
or stronger.
Yeah, stronger. I think that's one of the ways you can make it better. So that was one of the inspirations or motivations for wanting to have this pod today. I structured this in regards to like going into some of the main muscle groups of the neck, just to accustom Gainz Nation with those muscles. So we'll go over those. We'll talk about some like muscle actions or movements of the neck. We'll talk about some recommended exercises, some exercises that I've done and or seen, and would potentially recommend. Benefits, practical program recommendations, as well as some words of caution. That's effectively how I crafted like my own little like mini agenda for the pod today. So some of the main muscles that we wanted to talk about today are the sternocleidomastoid. That's like this big muscle here in the front. I believe it has 2 different attachment points. The scalenes muscles, the splenius, levator scapulae, and then these are both back musculature, so they assist with either flexion or extension of the back, but they also have connection points up in like the back part of your neck or head, semispinalis and the longissimus. So you'll hear some of these words tossed around in regards to a bodybuilding routine. So it'll be like, this type of cervical flexion or extension exercise will help train your sternocleidomastoid, for example. Like you might hear something like that. So we just want to custom you to some of those muscle groups or names of muscles in your neck. And there's a lot of them. A lot that I didn't bring up as well, like some smaller ones. So there's some people break it down into 6 different movements. I've seen it in 4 different movements. So I'll cover the 4 different movements the way I've seen it and explain how it could be 6 different movement patterns of the neck. So we have cervical flexion. That's essentially bringing your chin to your chest. You have cervical extension. That's essentially bringing your chin up to the sky. You have cervical rotation. So that would be essentially turning to the left or turning your head to the right. Some like groups break down cervical rotation both into cervical like rotation to the left, cervical rotation to the right. So that's how it could like essentially be like 2 different groups of movement or just one. And some the last, and this is also, some people break it down into 2 different groups, is cervical side bending, or some people might say cervical lateral movement, and essentially tipping your head from one side or to the other. So it might be cervical side bending to the left or cervical side bending to the right. Some of the benefits that we want to cover of training the neck are reducing your injuries or injury prevention, improving sleep quality, and increasing the size of your neck or aesthetics. That's like a big thing that that Jeff Nippard talks about. So in regards to reducing your injuries, one thing that I've participated from a programmatic standpoint in the past is neck training. It was mostly neck flexion and extension training and neck side bending training or neck lateral training. Back in the day, like when I was in high school, we had this. You might have seen this before, Antoine. Old freaking school.
I'm pretty sure my dad had this, what you're about to explain.
That's amazing. So it was like old piece of weightlifting equipment that had like a face pad. So you'd be like cleaning the face pad, it'd be so greasy from like.
Well, yeah, it'd be greasy from high school kids and sweating and all the acne and stuff. Yep.
Disgusting. So it would like go around your face like this. You put your face on it like this, and you train flexion first. So you would do however many reps, whatever the rep scheme was, like 8 to 12 probably back in the day. Then you turn around and you do the extension piece. And then the next day, or the next time we have it programmed, you probably do like neck side bending like this. I know, is she coming up? Hey, poop. We're getting jealous. We might not have fed him just yet. Sorry, pups, we're feeding a little bit. I think that was actually quite effective in our program because we didn't have a lot of athletes on our football team who were out due to neck injuries, and that was something that I heard like about on other teams. I don't know how like rigorous their neck training was, but this is usually like repeated time and time again. There's a lot of literature to suggest that directly training your neck is beneficial for sports performance from an injury prevention standpoint. I just kind of gave you anecdotal evidence from like my own personal fitness journey the other day, or like the past couple weeks. I've like slowly added in neck training just as a warm up, not like trying to like progressively overload or whatnot, but being much more diligent about like, okay, I'm gonna warm up my neck. Okay, yes, I'm gonna do some like neck flexion exercises. I have like a short clip where Carly kind of comes in towards the end. I'll post a longer clip either there this week or next week. But I was essentially doing neck flexion and extension where my head was laying at the end of the bench. So this is the edge of the bench here. And I just allow my neck to go down, let gravity take it, and hold it down here, and then slowly extend the neck up. Hold that contraction for a brief moment, and then slowly control the eccentric back down. Again, I actually look like this, so my neck is doing this, out like this.
Quick question to interject, Roman. I don't know if you're going to talk about it or not. From what you're saying and what like I think what maybe benefit or not benefit the general population, do you think like maybe extension could be more productive for like the general public? And I only ask that because I always catch myself, especially switching from like physical books to like ebooks is, or if I'm looking at my phone, and most of the time I'm flexing my neck, and most of the time you could just have the like slight soreness because you just been crooked over flexing your neck for the past like 20 minutes. Now, do you think overall that might be more beneficial to do more extension training? Obviously, like we would try to train all three planes of motion. I guess you four, I guess you would say that you went over, but like what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'd say the population that probably could benefit from like focusing in particular on like flexion and extension. So I'd say both, because I would definitely advocate for full range of motion. But
yeah,
but you could emphasize the extension piece if you felt like you were in a flex position for much of the day. Are taller individuals. So if you're taller than the median, you may or the average. So if you're taller than the average person, by your very nature of being taller, you're probably looking down more often than you're looking up if you work in an environment with a lot of people, right? And we spend a considerable amount of our waking time, for the most part, people, night shift workers aside.
So his average height is 5'7" to 5'9" for males.
Yeah. So if you're like 5'10" to whatever the top height is, 7 something. I remember my stepbrother. He's I think 6'1", 6'2", and he had like a slight, like almost like seemingly permanent flexion to his neck because he was like always looking down. Like in sport, he was like, he played a lot of hockey, so like hockey or like you're kind of looking down, that kind of thing. So I would say taller individuals in particular could greatly benefit from both flexion and extension exercises on a regular basis.
one more thing. I actually see it because one of the guys I talked to at the gym, and I do want to kind of go up there and ask him if he ever like works on like neck training. Is he's a big biker and he likes to lift weights, and I don't know what he does for work or whatnot, but he's only probably in his like 30s or 40s, and like his head is like tilted like completely like almost forward, and his like neck and his like top of his back is like kind of like hunchback ish. It's really, I mean, he's a strong guy, right? And he like lifts like pretty well. He does when I see him lifting sometimes when I see him lifting, most of the time he's like lifting perfectly. But like when he's like in his normal stance, it's like this.
Yeah.
And like and I don't know if maybe he has an injury, maybe I don't know. Would scoliosis affect that?
Yeah, definitely. Good.
Yeah, so I don't know. I would have to talk to him more. I do talk to him in the sauna, but I'm always curious. But like I said, keep going. Sorry, Roman.
Yeah, and something like that too. If you find that you have like kyphosis of the spine, so that's essentially that front rounding like this, it might not be beneficial for you to try to work back your training all the way back to here. You might want to start working from here to here. It's small changes that we're looking for. So there was some research done on, I believe, construction workers, and they found that when proper deadlift technique was taught, effectively to stay within like neutral spinal flexion, they were getting injured at a higher frequency than when they would originally when they would lift before the corrective action, and the it was essentially a hypothesis generating research from what I understand. And what the hypothesis came to be, which is like developing like a theoretical framework, is your body and your body's like muscles, joints, connective tissue, they get accustomed to lifting in a certain position. So if you lift deadlift rounded back, Ed Cohn is a great example. If you deadlift like this and you come up, then that's the way that your the muscles of your back, so your that semispinalis, longissimus muscle, your thoracolumbar fascia, they are accustomed to moving in that way. So then when you try to correct somebody from this position to be here in neutral spine, this is actually foreign to them. So this is putting them in a position that they're not used to, because they're accustomed to being in this locked position here when they pick up construction material from the ground. So that increases their injury risk because they're not used to that positioning. So that's important to keep in mind, because if you notice something like that, like you do tilt your head forward a little bit, it should be fine. We're not doctors, but it should be fine if you want to add in. I guess we can move over to practical program recommendations before we jump back to some benefits of neck training. If you want to add a neck training, I would highly encourage it, because I think that if done properly, there's very little downside. Now, you can absolutely like give yourself like, a quote unquote zinger, or you can hurt yourself just like any other exercise. The neck in particular, I would say try and stay away from very dynamic movement. Don't do a lot of head bobbing or whatnot when weighted. That's just foolishness. Try and be very mindful about very deliberate movement. So a very slow cadence to your negative, and then a strong but controlled positive or concentric movement. Same goes for rotation and side bending. So we don't want to do it like this. We want to be much slower and more deliberate about it. Slower, more deliberate about it. For rep range, I would say probably stay in like the 10 to 15 plus area, just because anything. Sorry, wasn't able to mute you, Gainz Nation. Thank you, sir. Anything below that, you're getting closer and closer to like only being able to like do one rep, and then it's like, okay, well, if you're just adding in neck training now, you might I would associate higher injury risk with doing something like that. So you want to pick a weight comfortable enough. Really, if you've never done neck training before, you should do it without any weight at all. And then if you're like in that 10 to 15 rep range, like I didn't feel anything, then yeah, add like 5 pound, to side bends or to like neck flexion extension. If you're like, I didn't feel it at all, add a 10. Remember, progressive overload. Don't go crazy. I'd probably recommend about 1 to 2 sets per session to start. So start like pretty low, and then try and see if you can do it at least twice a week, upwards of 3 times a week. That way you're somewhere around the 6 sets per week range. So you're at the lower end of like the hypertrophy, the golden hypertrophy range, which is about 10 to 20 on average. Some people might need more, some people might need less. And then you might be on like the 2 sets per week. But you can slowly over time add in more sets. And the benefit to that is for the person, like let's say a tall person that has that neck that stays in like slight flexion. Well, you might be able to slowly over time, maybe months, half a year, like start to straighten up your back, your neck, etc. I wanted to make a note about deloading from time to time. So there's nothing special about this, but if you're not sure about like when to deload, you can do it once a month. So it could be the last week of the month. Just take a week off of training or cut your volume in half. So if you've worked up to 10 sets, do 5 sets for the week for 1 week. It'll assist in like the longevity of extending out that those exercises. And then if you feel any pain or discomfort, make sure you discontinue and speak with the doctor.
Awesome, buddy. Did you want to add anything else on that?
I had just a couple other things. I wasn't able to look up any research, but I have read about this in the past. Neck training in particular can assist in improving sleep quality. It's not a panacea, it's not an end-all be-all, but some people, they will move on their neck, and this is like a popular UFC like exercise. They will train their neck in that fashion, but general population might not have a strong enough neck to do so. So you might be causing like small injuries to yourself when you do that at night. So by training your neck to move in all planes of movement, so flexion, extension, rotation, and side bending, you are developing more resilient musculature of the neck, and that can improve sleep quality. I guess a word of caution, there definitely, just like anything with fitness, there is overdoing it. So people can get necks that are so thick that it can start to impinge and block airways. It's not something that happens overnight. It would be years and years and years and years of neck training. So don't want to scare anybody away from that. But if you have a massive neck already and you're like, I'm gonna like go like hog wild on this neck training because Gainz Podcast told me to, or Gainz Nation told me to. We appreciate that you follow us and listen, but if you are on that side of things, you would be considered like at the far end of like the average person in the population. So you might be fine with staying at like maintenance volume for your neck training, for example.
Yeah.
And the last bit was on aesthetics. I'll just refer to Jeff Nippard's videos because he would do a much better job than I, but he has great videos talking about the aesthetics of like increasing the size of your neck.
Yeah, well, Roman, thank you for that. That's like great information, and like it's like literally the perfect timing, and that's why I wanted to give you the time and whatnot. I think this is great. I think, yeah, you answered the questions that I wanted to get into, and I was writing down like another thing too, which I asked, about like the extension versus flexion, and also too, this is like something like newer to me that I've never really done, but I think for a call to action, I think I'm gonna start trying it out and see what it does for me. And like Roman was saying, like minimum stuff, like nothing that's gonna cause my workouts to be like an extra 30 to 40 minutes, which I don't think Roman was trying to suggest anyways. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and watching. We do appreciate you guys. Like I said, we're now on Threads. I forgot to mention too that I looked at my notes. I did put out a workout vlog, which I haven't done in forever. I think I mentioned it, but I don't think I uploaded the last time. And then I recorded another session, a Saturday session of mine as well. So if you guys haven't seen that, check it out. If you want to see more content like that too, let us know. And then we appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.